Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. I'm Brennan Lee. In this video, I want to help clarify a previous video that I made on relaxation and overcoming mental barriers to relaxation and get into some nitty-gritty on that video. I got a question on my forum from Vlad. Hey, Vlad, thanks for writing in. And in essence, his question is something like, because I mentioned in the video, if you can overcome some of the automatic stuff that is programmed, and Vlad's letter, he's like, and some of that stuff is, imagining the evolutionary process from thousands of years of natural selection, like we have automatic stuff that we do that's programmed in. And how come is it that if I relax that stuff, then it's going to be more powerful? And I realize, let's clarify this power business and what I meant when I said powerful in terms of being relaxed, because I guess in this case, powerful is that it's in relationship to interactive skill, and that if I want to be more skillful in interaction with my body and perhaps also social interaction, that if I can relax and come from a place of being relaxed, I am better able to respond to occurring events, whereas tension and aggression and emotional reactivity can cause a type of blindness, or the awareness can shrink away from what is going on rather than expand to include it. And so in this case, from the domain and in the position of looking at the dynamics that happen in physical interaction, say martial arts, fighting, sports, could, like, again, social could also be a place where this could apply. Being able to relax and control your mind and calm down seems to be more powerful than reactive alternatives. Now, that being said, in the process of training these things, like say, I am trying to train relaxing in boxing, it's going to be very counterintuitive, and I may not succeed right away because I'm hearing in my mind's eye, or I guess it'd be my mind's ear, I don't know, what people are saying about, well, in the martial arts, I should be able to have something be successful right away. And it's like, well, no, mastery isn't successful right away. Leonardo da Vinci painted the Mona Lisa, but he did not paint the Mona Lisa that we know and love today the first time. Anybody who's trained anything to become masterful does not do that overnight. They put in the hours in the training. And then say, in the martial world, being relaxed is counterintuitive. What really works the fastest, as far as I can tell, just look at MMA, strength, aggression, strength training, get strong, and be mean. That works the quickest. But what I think is most skillful is being able to relax, be calm, be aware, given any situation, be fluid and changeable. And then you start to see certain skills show up. And so in this case, I'm equating that skill with power. Okay? So I'm not saying that strength and aggression doesn't work. It's very functional and can be very powerful. So I think in this video, it's useful for me to clarify what I meant when I said powerful, because I did say in the video that if you're able to control that really automatic stuff, now we're talking power. And so what I perhaps should have said is, if you can control your mind, it's like, okay, now we're talking about some serious mind control and your ability to relax in any situation, which will allow you abilities that you cannot have if you come from a base of emotional reactivity, tension, strength, and those areas. You see the difference? Like, it also brings to mind a little bit when I teach people boxing, for example, I specifically tell them, do not block any punches, because what's easy and quick and effective is to block, and say in the boxing world, they teach you very small parries, you don't, or in MMA, that you don't you don't do big motions like you see in karate, because the big motions can get you into trouble. But if you do small parries and keep everything's really tight, you can deflect most strikes. But I take it a step further. I tell people, don't even block. Don't use your hands at all. Why? Because it alters the foundation from which they're coming from in the striking world. And when they do that, and when they really get that other foundation, do they have success right away? No. Is it counterintuitive? Yes, it's much easier to block. However, down the road, there are certain skills that I can build upon that foundation that you cannot have. Can't have them if your foundation is blocking, etc. So in this example, I'm showing that changing the foundation from where people are coming from can be very powerful. And in the case of the martial arts and then relaxing, perhaps there are, and I want to invite you to consider what that might be. And then if you want that power, train it. Obviously, get out there, do it. Do not sit on a computer listening to me blather on about stuff. Get your ass out there on the mat. Figure it out, because that's where that happens. And there's no choice about that. So consider, if you alter the foundations, what powers could you have if you are relaxed? What powers could you have if you can control your mind to the max? See, and go figure that out and then train it. And then you will have that power that you can't have if you have this other foundation. All right? Otherwise, we'd all be lifting weights and getting aggressive. All right. So in closing, it reminds me of a story about Yang Luchan, who's an old, from back in the day, as I like to say, ancient master fighter from back in the day. And he was apparently a small guy, slight, but they called him Yang the Invincible. So it's like from the Tai Chi world, and now Tai Chi, these days, as far as I can tell, it's old people moving slowly in the park. But back in the day, I wasn't there, I don't know. It was people use it to kill people. They're actually fighters. So I'm like, okay, that comes from this fighting background, which is very real. But you wouldn't get that looking at it nowadays. Anyway, it doesn't matter. As the story goes, this guy goes over to somebody invites him over to his area, and there's like 50 boxers in the room, or it's like Yang Luchan, who's a master fighter, this guy who's like a wealthy lord in the area, and 50 boxers are fighters. And they're in the midst of the meal. It's at some point somebody said something offhanded to Yang Luchan, basically saying, in a sideways kind of passive aggressive, I don't know, whatever, like around, not straightforward, but a roundabout way of saying, basically, Yang Luchan, I don't think you can fight. I think you suck at fighting, in essence. And Yang Luchan apparently looked up in a room full of fighters, and he said, there's only 3 kinds of men I can't beat. Old men, dying old men, statues, and babies. The rest I can handle without a problem. So you can see what he did there. He basically insulted an entire room of fighters and said, you ain't got shit. And so one of the fighters challenged him to a duel, apparently, or to a fight. And apparently Yang Luchan was just standing there, and the other guy took a fighting stance and said, Yang Luchan, how come you haven't taken a stance? He's like, I already have. But you better summon all your strength, because you're going to need it. And apparently the guy attacked him and Yang killed him. Or there's another story where the guy attacked him and Yang Luchan threw him across the room. And as he was flying 50 feet through the air, he went and caught his head and saved him. But I wasn't there. He probably just killed his ass, as far as I can tell. That's my sense. Okay? So now what is it? Why the story, and what does that even mean? Well, look, if Yang Luchan was a slight man who was also, I think, shorter, he wasted everybody. How does somebody who doesn't have that strength do that? How does he have that power? He's not coming from a place of I'm going to use my strength against you. So what else does he have? You see, start to think about that. And also, to give more credibility to this type of foundation, consider, I also saw a video with Rickson Gracie recently. Rickson Gracie and Jocko Willink were speaking. Great little snippet on on Jocko's podcast. And Rickson Gracie, who is a master fighter nowadays, is speaking about his father. And his father, you know, when he was learning, when they were creating Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, when he was learning and watching judo from Count Maeda, I think his name was, who was a student of Jigoro Kano, and Jigoro Kano was the founder of judo, you see, and then the Brazilians met up with Count Maeda, and the Gracie father was not able to train. He was sickly. And when he did train, when he started, he didn't have the strength to dominate his opponents. He didn't have the strength. So he had to learn another way. You see? And so again, he didn't have the strength. Let that sink in. Because I've seen some guys in some Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu schools, like one guy in particular, I remember, big, strong guy, always relied on his strength to win, but he never, ever, ever sacrificed his strength, which means he could never, ever, ever learn the skills that somebody who doesn't have the strength is forced to learn because they don't have the strength. And what does relaxing do? Think about it. It takes away your strength. If you commit to being relaxed, guess what? You cannot use your strength. This I'm so strong. No, if you relax, it forces you to find another way. Which brings me back to then power. The power to beat somebody up who's bigger than you, who's more strong than you are, perhaps more aggressive than you are, and you're smaller and weaker than them. How do you win? You got to learn other skills, which translate into a different kind of power. See? Interesting stuff. So then consider for yourself why I would say in this case, you relax, you can control your mind. Now you have a power. That's power, I say. But then to add and clarify, which this whole video has been about, clarifying that aspect of my previous video, is what kind of power do you have? And then taking a step further, how could you get that? Is it worth it to you? If it is, hey, get out there, go check it out. You see, I love hearing about the example of the Gracie father. You know, he didn't have the strength, so what did he have to do? He had to learn another way. And anybody who's training martial arts could benefit a lot from that. Yeah. So that's what I have for you there, clarifying this video, considering relaxing, the benefits, power in that domain. Power is also relative. I could have power relaxing, but I don't have power to make money very well. You see, I could be stupid about making money and not have very much power there, but I could have power in the physical. So just taking it to an existential level, power doesn't matter what domain. Power is different in different things. So it's not a blanket statement. And if I made it sound like a blanket statement, which thinking back on the video, it sounded to me it's like kind of a blank. Well, that's power. If you can relax and control your mind, that's power. Well, hey, maybe sometimes you got to pick up a car or something like that. Okay, move a refrigerator. See? Or maybe you got to use the power of your mind to think up a mathematical formula for something, or use some perceptive powers to figure out how to control a virus or whatever. You see, these are different areas where you can have power, and they don't apply the same way. All right, so in terms of just studying power by itself, I'll leave that up to you. You consider that. All right, so I hope this video has clarified that for you. Vlad, thank you for writing in. Check the links in the description. If you want to get serious, come do a workshop. They kick butt. They take the video, whatever video content I have or Ralston has on his channel is nothing compared to doing a workshop, a live event. Now, in the workshops, we don't necessarily work on being a more effective human being, although that might be a byproduct, but we will get you conscious. And if you do the martial, we will train you in the martial arts. So Anyway, check the links in the description. You want to check out my forum, please check the link. Send me stuff so I can keep creating content and giving value to you. I also have a free course, paid course. Come hire me to be an online coach. Otherwise, the choice is yours. The world is your oyster, and you can make lemonade. All right. So thank you very much. This is Brennan Lee with thebrennanlee.com in support of Consciousness and Skill Worldwide, which is founded by Peter Ralston. Until next time, take care.